On this video, we're going to be exploring this potential breakout that could still be happening. Yesterday, I talked about this breakout where Bitcoin, which is still the driver of this crypto markets, if it breaks out, that's going to be very good for the altcoins. However, if this comes back as a fake out, that will not be good for the altcoins, even though Bitcoin dominance has been decreasing. Okay, what I'm seeing here for Bitcoin as of yesterday, it looked like it was trying to break out on a shorter time frame, trying to establish itself on the higher time frames. Right now, what I'm looking at is a potential fake out, okay? But there is still potential that this breakout could be going on. That is just some of the downside risk to potentially even trading breakouts, right? I don't usually trade breakouts, or at least not heavily, right? Because it's a riskier setup. But what I'm seeing here, what I'm focusing on here, is the daily time frame, because on the daily time frame is the highest time frame where I see a candle close above this upper trend line here, okay, which is basically the pattern I've talked about. This pattern is more validated on the 12-hour time frame because I can see three candle touches on both the upper and bottom trend line. However, if we actually get a daily candle close back within this pattern here, a solid daily candle close back within this pattern, that this tells me this is likely a fake out here. Fake outs are part of the game, right? That could very well happen. I've seen fake outs. I've been talking about fake outs just because it looks like price action it's looking like it could break out of a pattern, right? Does not mean that it's 100% going to get to that price target. There's going to be downside risk, which includes fake outs, right? Or flops that happens after a potential break. In this case, I am keeping my eyes out on the daily time frame. If we get a solid daily candle close back within this pattern, this tells me that this is going to be a fake out. Now, you guys would notice that daily 21 SMA is coming up to this pattern as well. So in this case, I would probably say that if we actually get a daily candle close, a solid daily candle close below the daily 21 SMA here, which is about 117.5K right now, but it is coming up to the price action. If we get a daily candle close, solid daily candle close below that, then this could be a fake out. And what we're looking at is Bitcoin potentially falling down to the next support level, which is the 12-hour 50 SMA, which is coming up pretty quickly. Okay, so that is something that I am looking for and that I'm very much paying attention to right now, because I think it could still be a pretty volatile week as the FOMC meeting is happening on Wednesday, at least the press conference. All right, we're also going to be taking a look into a few altcoins in this video, which will include XYO Network, Verasity, which is VRA, as well as let's see here, I forgot the other one. Let's check. COTI, COTI. See what's happening in these markets. Seeing how this Bitcoin move could affect those markets. Of course, you guys know my opinions on Bitcoin, right? I am long on Bitcoin. I am long on quite a bit of the altcoins. And I am still bullish on this market right now because of quite a few reasons. Even though we do have some mixed signals that I will get to and tell you guys about in just a second. But I'm still bullish on this market right now. And even though it looks like this could be a potential fake out, right? I'll tell you guys when I change my opinion. Because right now, I think the market still looks very bullish. Before we get to the altcoin charts here, we're going to be talking about some major crypto news. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into the news first before diving into the charts. All right, this is News BTC. Days of parabolic Bitcoin bull runs are over. Analysts reviews how Bitcoin will reach $1 million. Okay, so I don't completely disagree with that, headline there without getting into too much context. But if we actually zoom out to the monthly time frame, if we actually zoom out to the monthly time frame, we are still parabolic, okay? Even though on the lower time frames we have been very slow. Just in terms of that breakout there, we haven't really had a significant move since we broke that 110K level. But on a higher time frame, we're still parabolic. If you guys don't call this a parabola, I don't know what this would be called, right? So if we actually zoom out, it is still parabolic. So I kind of disagree with that headline, even though on a lower time frame, it seems like things are still pretty slow, right? Since the breakout there. The next one is going to be by ZY Crypto. Crypto whales dump over 40,000 Bitcoin as trader enters uncertain zone. So the uncertain zone is basically, at least in my opinion, is that this could potentially be a fake out, right? But this still has potential that it is going to be a legit breakout here because, like I said, on the daily time frame, we still have somewhat of a candle close above that upward trend line. There. It's very important that we don't see a solid candle close below this daily 21 SMA here. If it does, then we could be looking at something else right now. So let's go ahead and go to. I also want to point out a few mixed signals here. Okay, monthly time frame. We're going to be coming to a monthly candle close here, right? And we still do have that bearish divergence on this monthly time frame. However, I've been pointing out that there has been exceptions, particularly in major breakouts back in December 2020. That was the start of the last bull cycle, and October 2017. That was also when it was very bullish during the bull cycle before that. Okay, so there has been invalidations of these monthly bearish divergences. So something just keeping in mind, of course, it's not 100% that this is gonna invalidate it like the previous times during those bull cycles, but it's just something to be referencing, right? That could happen. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next piece here. This is by NewsBTC, Ethereum Quiet Takeover. How declining Bitcoin dominance is fueling Ethereum's rise. Yeah, I've been paying attention to Ethereum. I've been trying to catch Ethereum on the dip, but haven't been able to yet. And I am not going to get into any additional positions, at least additional leverage positions, which is how I usually trade Ethereum, until at least after the Fed meeting is over, because I would expect quite a bit of volatility going on during that and before that meeting. All right, Bitcoin's MV/RV ratio flashes. Warning, top of the cycle incoming. This is by Crypto Potato. Maybe it's talking about that monthly divergence on the monthly RSI, but other than that, divergence, I really don't see that we're at the top of the bull cycle yet. I think we have just started, okay? If you actually look at previous bull cycles, monthly RSI, so this is going back to March 2021, that was basically the peak of that last bull cycle, okay? Look at where that RSI reading was. It was at 92. Look at 2017, the peak of that bull cycle. It was still above 90. Where are we right now? 73. So are we near a peak just based on this indicator that I've been using for the past over 5+ years? At least based on what I'm seeing here, no. And I am going to base my opinion based on this, right? And of course, this whole video is just my opinions and not financial advice. You got to do your own research. But this is just what I'm seeing. Okay, this is what I'm trading on. All right, let's go to the next piece here. Rich Dad Poor Dad author warns of 1929 crash coming, says Bitcoin is the savior. So a crash is always coming. Okay, that's how these cycles work. Okay, there's gonna be a bull cycle, there's gonna be a bear cycle, and there's gonna be a lot of sideways. So what I think Robert Kiyosaki is referring to, who is the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, is basically there's gonna be a stock market crash. Well, let me just point out here. I've seen a couple of crashes from 2020 to now. Okay, so the first crash that was probably the mother of all crashes that I've seen was the COVID crash. Okay, that was back in March 2020, or yeah, that was March 2020 or April 2020, where it went from about 3,100 on the S&P 500 down to about 2,200. Okay, that was huge crash. Okay, but that was also after a humongous bull cycle. The next crash was back in 2022, where it hit about 4,800 before diving down to about 3,500. This is the S&P 500 futures, ES1 exclamation mark. So there's always going to be a crash. How I manage it is I'm going to be taking my profits off the table as this bull cycle goes on. Okay, and why am I pointing out the S&P 500 is because it's highly correlated with Bitcoin. Okay, they're both risk on assets. And how I manage it is I'm going to be taking my profits off the table as we are getting near a peak, so I don't get trapped in that crash, right? And I hope that you guys have some plans to do that as well. That's just purely what I'm doing. Okay, you don't have to do any of that. You could just ride this for as long as you want, right? And not trade it. But that is just what I'm going to be personally doing. All right, let's go ahead and get to some altcoin charts here. Okay, we're gonna take a look into XYO Network first. See what's going on in this market here. Okay, let's take a look into the weekly time frame. Right, weekly time frame. What's going on with XYO Network? I'm gonna wait for the charts to load. Just give it a second. Trading view is a little slow today. All right, I think on the 3-day time frame, this is a lot more clear. So 3-day time frame, falling wedge pattern, very common pattern, probably the most common pattern. I've been pointing out these patterns probably at least twice on the daily basis, okay? Because they're so common and it usually tells you after an extensive downtrend, the price action is more likely to break to the upside. In this case, it did for XYO Network. Price target here is about 3.9 cents price targets. Price targets are estimates only. There could be more or less. Very much depends on what the market is, right? Right now, I'm still bullish on Bitcoin, right? But of course, it could still fall short of the breakouts could still fall short of the targets. Now, XYO broke above this pattern back in about March and went up to about as far as about 2.25 cents before getting a rejection, all the way back down to about about 0.9 cents there, just right under. Okay, so what could XYL be doing at this moment? Well, it is still valid. This breakout is still valid, and it can still work its way towards that 0.39 cents price target. Okay, let's zoom in and see if I can get any more clarity on what XYL could be doing. All right, so this could look like a falling wedge pattern that XYO has actually just broken out of again. This is the 4-hour time frame. Okay, 4-hour time frame, price target here. For this breakout, which happened right over here, will give a price target of about 1.36 cents price target. Okay, this breakout is still valid because it is still above this upper trend line here. If it breaks back into the pattern, then that is going to be bad news, and that could look more like a fake out. Let's go ahead and go to COTI, COTI, see what's going on in this market. weekly time frame, which is a higher time frame here. See what has happened with COTI, okay? Now, like I said, falling wedge pattern, train your eyes to see it. It's going to be very simple and very effective. This pattern has been forming since February of last year. Wow. And if COTI breaks to the upside here, which it usually does, because of the pattern, price target, let's just say, for example, if it breaks out by this point, it doesn't have to, then the price target would be about 30 cents for COTI. Always got to consider the downside of a pattern as well, because nothing in this market is 100%. If this price action breaks down and this pattern breaks down, then we can come back here and rechart the pattern and see what we're looking at instead, right? But right now, this is what I'm looking at for COTI. Let's zoom in a little bit and see what is happening on a smaller time frame and see if I can get any more clarity on what this market could be doing. 4-hour time frame, this could still form a cup and handle pattern, still a hypothetical situation here. If COTI comes back here to retest about that 7 cents resistance level, this could form a cup and handle, because it still looks like it's having rounded bottoms, right? Higher highs and higher lows. If this pattern gets rejected or invalidated, then we could be looking at something else for COTI. But right now, it still looks bullish for COTI on a shorter time frame, on a higher time frame. Of course, a lot of this is going to depend on Bitcoin, okay? Let's go ahead and go to VRA and see what's going on with this market here. Weekly time frame. Weekly time frame, VRA. It looks like another falling wedge pattern here. I'm waiting for my chart to load. So this is a falling wedge pattern again. That's 3 times in a row here, not including the one on Bitcoin. Right here for VRA price target, I have adjusted it because I've talked about VRA last time. I've adjusted and moved this measure move down along the upper trend line. And the price target would be about 1.5 cents for VRA. So that's quite a bit of a move here, quite a bit of resistance along the between the breakout points and the price target as well. These moving averages are going to be some key resistances to be paying attention to. Right now, it looks like VRA is at the upper trend line here. So let's see if it can actually make a breakout, right? I talked about on the daily time frame that there was a falling wedge pattern, of course. Price targets for this one, it looks like it has already been reached. Okay, so it broke out, and the price target was about, let's see, 0.002 almost. Right now it's at the daily 200 SMA. That is going to be key resistance here right above the upper trend line. Let's see if VRA can actually break out of this pattern and above some of these moving averages as resistance. That's basically it for this video. Let me know if you guys want to continue seeing any more of these coins. Make sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe if you guys do. I'll see you on the next one.